George Floyd's medical records were illegally accessed and viewed by staff at HCMC, and some employees have been fired because of it. Tonight, KARE 11 investigative reporter AJ Legault has details and reaction from Floyd's family.
At HCMC, George Floyd's personal and medical records were repeatedly breached by staff with no legal right to access them.
Multiple breaches by multiple people.
That's Floyd family attorney Anthony Romanucci, who tells KARE 11 the family received a letter from HCMC notifying them of the breach.
What was the Floyd family's response to learning of this?
Well, what they feel it's a continued assassination of George Floyd, his character. It's a nonstop issue, all because of what? Is there just some prurient interest in George Floyd because he became a worldwide civil rights hero because he was killed over an 8-minute period of time in public view?
It's a violation of what's known as the HIPAA law, which is supposed to protect sensitive patient health information from being disclosed. HCMC tells KARE 11 they don't comment on specific cases, but they have a practice to conduct privacy access audits, and any breach of patient confidentiality is taken seriously and thoroughly investigated. While HCMC won't comment on what happened to the employees, George Floyd's family was told the people involved no longer work at the organization.
Disappointed that even in death, that George Floyd's character was being maligned by people who didn't have any business looking at his private medical records.
The Floyd family is considering a lawsuit. For KARE 11 Investigates, I'm AJ Legault.
We were alerted about this story through a text message. If you have a news tip you think KARE 11 should look into, send us a text to 763-797-7215 and make sure to text that number with your tip. Don't call it.